in Java, you will irrigate like this one. And when we go to the other region like Nusa Tenggara, their evapotranspiration can be reached 5.5, 5.8. It's not much like Qatar. And that is arid, like you said, very hard. And why soil sensor is important? Because the most important, we irrigate is not the plant, we irrigate the soil, basically. The real one, we irrigate the soil. So we must to know how much percentage of the percentage we must to provide in the soil. So automatic weather station is only, evapotranspiration is only how much we must to calculate. But they not decide when. Say when, in my opinion, is the soil sensor. That is my opinion. When this is must irrigate, when you stop, when you starting. So this is, like I said to Risma, this is the what I teaching is very hard for evenly the college guys, is how to manage this, because they not usually, evenly the bachelor guy, is hard to know how to calculate this, and that is important evenly for farmer, because 100 years ago or 50 years ago when our grandfathers don't know about this one, basically. So this is, in my opinion, is it must be continuous for the data.
Yeah.
Correct. That is my opinion, because without data we cannot present anything.
No.
As a sales, we only selling. We are not, like I said to my sales, we are not sales of insurance, only selling a dream, only selling a papers. We selling a data, basically like that. So that is what in our irrigation we selling a data.
Yeah.
This one, you must should be irrigation. This one, and that is when DSR selling is always like that. Unlucky that is Pak Iksan agronomy. Risma also agronomy. Risma also agronomy, myself also agronomy, he also agronomy, basically like that. Vic, you agronomy, right? So I have a lot of agronomy, and our customer is agronomy, sir. In like Tadeco. The manager in there's name is Jerry. Do you know him? His name is good agronomy. He's always talk about how much water applied in the drip and how much evapotranspir. He put the sensors in the middle of the tree, in the top of the tree, basically like that, because only collect the data, basically like that. That is, as I know, you have a best banana plantation in the world.
Banana and pineapple.
Pineapples, basically like
They
that.
have, I think, 100 hectares for the dog. 100 hectares.
Where?
In
Tadeco, 5,800 hectares. I know very well about Tadeco.
5,800.
In one plot.
Yeah.
In one plot.
One farm.
yeah,
One farm.
Yes, one farm.
5,800. They are the biggest in the world.
Okay.
For one plot.
And it's,
Yep.
it's,
For one plot.
it's a big company that started in the Philippines and now is owned by Japanese
Now by
interests.
Japan?
Dole.
Yeah.
Dole, that is Dole.
Dole.
That's Dole,
Dole.
yeah.
Dole.
And
So
then-
Dole is, I think, if you visit Dole, as far as your eyes can see, those are
Bananas.
Pineapple.
Pineapples.
And,
Just
and
pineapple.
where, yeah, and in between where
Just
it won't
just
grow
near our house.
pineapple, thousands of acres of banana.
And next is banana.
Yeah. There is the in Tadeco have a lot, sir. Basically like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Philippines very well. Only 3 times I'm there, and Tadeco have a lot of good agronomy, and their plantation is a clean,
Yeah.
Beautiful.
clean. Banana plantation, the cleanest as I know, is there.
You cannot see any
No weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No leaves, just very clean.
Yep.
And then you can say what I can see is that they make some small irrigation.
Canals.
Drainage.
Yeah,
For
small
drainage.
drainage.
Yeah.
And then banana. Then
But that is not small, ma'am. As I know, I cannot jump it. It's 2 meters.
Yeah.
It's 2 meters, and the dip is more deep than me.
So just really, really well managed.
Oh, yeah.
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 the top producer of banana and pineapple.
And I'm thinking that with a little bit more technology, we might be able to make them even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have 25 kgs now.
So we have new product now that is a commercial drone that is going to use a spray the banana that can carry 15 liters of 55 liters of
Whatever.
Water falling to the ground. So
Yeah.
ideally you should have a weather station for your own place.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm not sure how they do the ET is it's probably some satellite.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know how they do the ET, but because it has to do with evaporation and transport. Yeah, so there'll have to be some sort of from what I know is
Yes.
Then heat flux.
heat flux. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know that sometimes weather stations have like a fan or something that collects the water and then somehow compares. I don't know. But
Well, it's quite a different system that they set up. They have some like upside down weather sensor, a solar irradiance sensor, measure the irradiance that bounces back from the ground. There's a heat flux sensor, and all these I think probably fit into formulas, and then you get the evaporation.
There's I think it's a French company that put those, if you call them upside down sensors, using lasers up into the
Oh,
and collecting.
that's I think that one is scintillometer. That's to, if you have a big piece of land, you can have like one sensor pointing a laser.
These
It's
are pointing straight up.
No, because
Because they give us
I
our,
think
they give us our ionospheric.
ET, you want to see how much that water evaporates from here. Right?
Yeah.
So if you look up straight, you can't see the profile. So you want a profile of horizontal profile of across the line. How much? What is the ET? But that's really expensive advice that I don't think typical farmers will do it. But most agriculture sites, I think they will use that with weather stations and heat flux sensors, or there's another device called lysimeter. I only know the terms. Effectively, how they work is, again, they have got sensors measuring how much water goes inside, and then I think they measure the weight of the water left after a day, and then they work out using some formulas.
And for the developing countries, you don't need one at everybody's site. You could put these at regional centres
That's
type
right.
thing, and then feed that data back out to all the farmers, and it's going to be 10 times more accurate than a guess.
yes.
Yeah,
But
yes,
it's not
like
going to
better
be
than nothing.
exactly site specific. And gradually, I guess people, the sensors and stuff will get cheaper and whatever, and everybody can have a little one that goes in like you can.
Yep. So where would the nearest government?
Have it. It's around 10. Oh no. 10 kaki. 3 kilometers from here.
10 kilometers?
3.
3 kilometers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing with that is, with the Meteor Blue, is you can collect that rainfall data. So you literally, it shows you in this sort of format, like that format, 5 of them, and you have for your site, so you can just copy it, come to your graph and put it here, and then you can just compare day by day, and you can see. So yeah, it just gives you a better way of seeing what's happening.
So you are saying that the software or device that you just mentioned, it can actually calculate ET and give you the data.
Yeah.
You don't calculate ET, right? You take the ET value and feed into your formula or your graph.
No, I don't think so. I think they calculate ET. I'm not.
Because
I can't
currently
remember.
I'm doing a consulting project in Dubai, Expo City. So they have a system called the LEED, a lead design. So inside the lead design, there is a formula that I'm expected to fill in rainfall as well as ET. So rainfall is easy, right? You can grab rainfall from weather station all over the world. But when you come to ET, there is no data that is available anywhere. The only way to do it is by doing certain formula, and the formula is is very complex.
Yeah.
It's not so straightforward. So the easiest way for me is I just grab the rainfall, then I do a certain coefficient, my K factor, then I just multiply it, and there comes my ET. But after you do that, you realize it's very stupid. Because your ET is either 0 or 0.1, 0.2.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. So I went back to the lead consultant and I tell them and say, okay, this is as best as we can give you, but it doesn't mean anything to you. You know. So in Dubai, Qatar, they wanted to be water efficient. So they tell us your irrigation should conserve water up to 60%. If anything that is not conserving more than 60%, then it's not a good irrigation design. But I just have to tell them that if you base on this data, then it's pure stupid. You know?
So you will visit Philippines water just running.
There wouldn't be so many guys when it runs, would there?
No, exactly. So the application rate will be very high, and evaporation rate will be very high. So they wanted to know what is the ET, but what's the point?
Yeah.
You know, when you have such a low rainfall with high evaporation rate, then what you can do is you just keep applying water.
Yeah.
Nothing much you can do,
And
and
watch it go through the profile.
yeah, and they are very sandy base.
Yes.
So whatever you apply, it goes straight through.
Yeah.
So you can just do maybe 3 times a day
Yeah.
or 4 times a day. You have to do it in regular basis.
We'll follow up exactly how that's that
Yeah.
value's been calculated.
So if that is something that really can materialize, then I think that's the answer. Then I don't have to go through that agony of going through the formula.
Yeah. So are you entering those values manually?
Yeah, I calculated every single month.
Yeah.
For 1 year. So but that is based on rainfall. You know,
Only rainfall.
only rainfall. Because there's no way for me to extract any other information. I just take rainfall, multiply by maybe 0.6.
Why they don't have any automatic weather station?
That probe tells you the reading of your irrigation level at that point. So if you look up here, it's yellow. That means it's onset of stress. It's going to become stress. Green is it's in the ideal zone, and then you get the percentage of your water content. And you can see that he's improved his irrigation based on his last year's data and NDVI and avoided any sort of heat stress that he comes up. Yeah. Oh, you already talked about Okay, alright. So, again talking about vineyards, which is grapes, which what Nigel was talking about. It is a common practice which growers do, which is when the pod is bursting, it's filled with soil water content, and then as flowering happens, which is when it's becoming big, it uses up all the water, and towards this sort of stage is where they slowly reduce their water content and dry out the crop, and then at the end, after they harvest it, they completely wash out their soil profile with a large amount of irrigation. And I'll explain more in the next slide. So this is what his 2 years of graphs look like. So if we look at when is grapes planted? Usually October.
Spring. So
Spring.
September.
September.
August,
September. Okay, so let's say September here. If you look over here, so we're planted, and you can see that there's root activity because I'll explain that tomorrow. But you can tell that the roots are becoming active, they're growing, so the plants are taking up water. And then as you go to Jan, towards Jan, you can see that he keeps letting the water go. This is a better example actually, this one. You can see that he lets the water go down just before harvest. Harvest is usually March, April, so the water content goes to the yellow stage. But what he's doing is called regulated deficit irrigation. So to improve the sugar concentration of the grapes, towards the end of the growing season, they do not irrigate their crop. So the crop becomes slightly stressed, produces more sugar, that results in a higher quality of grapes. So when they sell in the market, they get the premium price of grapes. And then after they harvest in April, you can see the water content just shoots up after that. That's because they completely flooded to wash away the salts, which is the fertilizers they would have applied in the soil, and then repeat the same process again. And then you can see this time the crop starts becoming active, it keeps going down, 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 and they let it go into the yellow stages, and then from there they put it out. So the idea of this is to show that when you set your budget lines, you know when your onset of stress is. So that's the period which the grower knows, okay, I'm going to reduce irrigation. I can see how much I'm reducing, how long I need to reduce it before so that I don't stress on my crop, but make sure that they're still producing the high concentration of sugar. So that's the sort of planning you can do, that which is once you use it for saving water, you can actually also use it to improve quality of your crop. Is the agronomy sound right? Yeah, yeah, that's my understanding.
How about this one?
Yeah, so I don't really know too much about this slide, but essentially it's showing that that in this case study that they save 30% of water, and if you see the cost of water, it's $800 to $1,000 per megaliter, which is what Nigel was saying, and you increase the quality of your grapes, and if you add that, do the maths of it, I'm not there at maths, so your revenue will increase from 18,000 to 4,000 per ton. So just by being a little bit more aware of your irrigation, being smart about deciding when to stress your grapes, you can make that much, the grower can make that much revenue of an increase. So yeah, so this is just to show again what Airmax Live looks like. So if we look at the top, that's evotranspiration grade. So we have Meteor Blue, which you're aware, DSR knows. You can collect evotranspiration grades. And this over here is the graph, which is the blue, green, yellow I was talking about earlier. Now, you can, if you have the expertise and the knowledge and understanding, you can change your levels across different growing stages. So over here it's a potato crop, and you can see that it was planted in August, and you can see that the water content varies for that, right? So as you go towards the flowering and tuber filling, that's where a lot more water is needed. So the water, your thresholds increase, so your pool point becomes higher because it can take up more water. And like potatoes, before when they mature, they let the irrigation go down. They reduce it significantly. And that's because they don't want any fungal disease to come to the potatoes before they get harvested. And they can also strengthen the tuber, which makes it a little bit more of a premium quality potato. And then you move towards maturity and harvest. And towards harvest, it's completely dried out. And the plants are usually dead, but the potatoes are still there. And I think, does that make it easier to harvest? The plants are dead? Yeah. So they completely dry out and kill their plants at the end of the season so they can harvest it easily. So this is again just another example of being aware of understanding how your irrigation works and managing accordingly. Over here also we wanted to show drainage below 50 centimeters. So this is a 60 centimeter probe, and the roots go up to 50 centimeters. And what you see here is they have calculated how much water goes past 45 centimeters, goes past 50 centimeters. Because the roots are only up to 50, the sensor measures 60, and they can calculate the water between 50 and 60 centimeters. And you can see that they're losing water here. So all of that,
The data, because 100 millimeter is still less in your area. This is 150 millimeters per day.
yeah, so it's basically at that moment of time when the data was logged, how much was the millimeter of the sum. So
Okay.
all throughout the soil that
So this is in the soil or in the ombrometers?
Soil.
In the soil.
And this is summed 6 sensors.
I can't remember what this case study was.
So this is a summed graph
Okay.
of 5 or 6 sensors all summed together.
Okay, so this is a millimeter.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not percentage.
No,
Millimeter.
Millimeters.
But
Yeah,
but we get that question a lot. You can convert a percentage,
percentage.
but the way we measure, I'm forgetting the maths. We did it. But the way we measure, when you convert percentage, it's the same as millimeter.
Correct.
Because the units we use are
Correct.
the same. So yeah.
Because Tion is 100 millimeter. If this is rain, this is too much. Basically, but if water, soil, it is soil water contain, but not in percentage. They do in millimeters per inch square. I think, as I'm not wrong, per inch square or what? Some percent.
Because each sensor is 100 millimeters.
100 millimeters.
Yeah.
Okay,
So if you've got 2 millimeters,
it's 2%.
it's 2%. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, we had this conversation because a lot of people say, can we have it in percentage?
Yeah.
Say, well, it is in percentage.
Yes. There is happen evenly we training everywhere is about the data. Like Pak Petrus, how I can know where's the point presented for my building point, and where's I know my soil is the field capacity is 20% or 30%. The only way if you have a testing the soil, ma'am, you must to have a testing soils. So when that you have it, you have a parameters for that what we already done that and put the data and you have a data evenly like clay soil. You can see here in our clay soils field capacity is 48%. Our wilting point is 16.4. So this is a clay. The category of the texture is a clay. So this we must to have it before you put the Semtech. Basically like that.
So
You
we
must have the soil sample.
Correct.
yeah, we also have calibrated soil equations. So in our Emacs lab,
You have it.
yeah, for different probes, so for drill and drop, let's say you're using drill and drop, we have a couple of calibrated equations already included based on I don't even know how many, but a large number of sites, and we use a generalized equation. So let's say you have your raw data and you want to know like is this too much water or not. So when you change your calibration, it will use that general equation and change it accordingly. So when it's like clay, it becomes lower.
Lower.
Yeah, but when it's like sand, it becomes higher.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Correct.
yeah. So yes, it's always a good practice to know about your soil test. Yeah, before you do it. Yeah.
Yes,
But for some people don't want to do that.
Correct.
So we have generalized
Yeah.
equations.
I think have it right. If the soil like a clay, how
Yeah.
much a percentage for building point and how much percent is already in the Semtech, right?
Is
So-
it already built in the product?
It's built in the equation, so it will calibrate your graph to what a clay soil would look like.
Because if you go on to a property where somebody's been irrigating it for years, they'll say to you, oh, this is a good soil. You know, and then you've got to look around and see if you
Yeah.
can find out from the texture on the surface, or, you know, dig a bit of a hole even with your boot to find out how far it goes down. And then you can start working, and you can just use a generalised equation to service if they don't want to go to
Yeah.
the point of digging a bit of a hole to see what's underneath and where the roots are going.
Yeah. So Petrus, we won't be able to give you like the exact like what your sheet is showing. Well, because that's a soil testing.
Correct.
Yeah. So that we don't specialize that, but essentially we also have that triangle, the texture triangle.
Correct.
So if you use the USDA texture triangle, you also have the generalized equations they have that
Correct.
in their system. So some growers use that to set their budget lines beforehand, even before they actually use their own data to manipulate it. For a standard, they use that. Yeah.
Correct.
So we don't give you the exact percentage, but if you have your data, we can change it according to what a heavy clay soil looks like for our.
That is possible we change inside the
Yes, That will be running tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll show how you can set your own budget mass.
Jagung.
I had there was a change in yield off the back of this. Remember that slide?
I think that's enough of this.
Yeah. So essentially, I think there were 15 days in stress here. It's 15.
Yeah.
15. So 15 days in stress, and you can see the yield loss. Just what an impact it can have on the crop.
Yeah, so in this one, so because each site, they put a probe in each site and it was all rainfall, so certain parts had a certain
Probe. So this is essentially just outlining how our probe sensors are capacitance sensors, FDR sensor. So what are we talking?
I don't know.
10 to 15 centimetre.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess we measure water in millimetres, and we sum our water. So there's just a couple of calculations there which we'll test you on later. So essentially, 1 millimetre of water over 1 hectare equates to 10,000 litres. So, you know, it's just handy to know what your area is, and you know, when you apply irrigation, exactly what that equates to. So I guess you know, this slide is just showing you know, how extensive a root system is. Obviously, that would be an EnviroScan probe there, and
Nutrisia
again,
aja Pak Petrus.
we can
KTK ini.
adjust
sorry,
our
bahasa.
sensor depths depending on the root system that we're dealing with.
Dosen saya nih. Arthur
Unet sih.
Unet.
What was that?
Sound effects.
Bit sci-fi. Now, I guess just a concept that I guess it's good to understand that when we talk about how many millimetres of water are in the profile, we're talking about an accumulated total. So as you can see from here, the 10 centimetre soil depth,
Koloi tanah itu.
we've got 12 millimetres of water. We've also got 10 millimetres at the second sensor, so we represent that as a sum total, which is much easier to understand.
Nah, water lodging.
I'm just throwing that slide in.
There is a test for crop.
What sort of crop is it?
Fish.
Anything. Fish.
Fish.
I think fish.
It's cotton.
Fish or crop?
That's cotton.
Fish. I think fish.
Cotton in New South.
In the water logic.
Yeah, in
the flood.
New South Wales in Australia.
We'll have a flood in Australia.
Tanaman.
Flood. That wouldn't happen here.
Oh, I have a lot. In Jakarta, I have a lot there.
Oh, Jakarta.
Without cotton is with a car.
Yeah. Every rainy season. Yeah. It's very.
Okay, so I guess this goes back to what Bikram was talking about earlier. We'll touch on this tomorrow, but essentially it's showing that you know, we can set these budget lines, and I guess it goes back to understanding what the requirements of your crop is as well. Okay, so in terms of factors that affect soil wetting and drying, this is a grapevine. Obviously, our soil is a key factor. Emitter discharge rates. Are you using any subsurface irrigation?
Subsoil.
Subsurface, so under lawn.
Yes.
You use that quite a bit. And you're generally using the same spacings
Yes.
of drippers.
About 300 to 500 in between.
Yeah. What about on sort of contoured, on slopes?
Typically, we will be laying around 400.
400 mil.
400.
Yeah. With a dripper every
300.
300. Yeah. Yeah. Are most parks and gardens looking for that, or are they using sprinklers?
In Singapore, again, regulation from the public utilities is that they discourage the use of sprinklers.
Right.
So, therefore, a lot of times that our proposal will be drip, and for lawns, we are using subsurface.
Yeah.
But in Singapore, subsurface has its own cons, which landscaper, when they come in to do maintenance, they aerate the soil, they will do forking.
Oh yes.
So they do not know what's beneath. They'll just
Yeah.
and then the next cycle come, you see fountains. It's like free show. Right. Then we have to come in and we have to dig out,
Yes.
cut, join. So underneath there are more joints than
Yeah.
pipes.
Oh,
So that is the reality.
And at what depth?
Basically it's below, maybe we install about 50, sometimes 50,
Something.
sometimes up to 100, depends.
Depending.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A bit of spacing, placement, irrigation quantity and frequency. So you're obviously varying your frequencies seasonally and
In Singapore, not quite, because it's just, I would say, 2 seasons. It's either it's a sunny season or it's a wet season.
yeah.
So the temperate is a temperate region.
Yeah.
So we just keep it and it is. We don't really use the
But you've got to control the weeds.
TOT Pak gitu. Istilahnya.
Cover crops, I guess a little bit like what's happening here. Not only are you putting nitrogen back into the soil, but you're also saving moisture in that ground as well. Mulching. It sounds like a mulcher over here. Is that a mulcher
In the,
that I can hear? That
no, that is for make a villa in there.
oh right.
Have a hotel in there.
Applying mulch to garden beds and crops stops water evaporation. Weed control is another big user of water.
Tanaman penutup. Jadi bisa
And then
meningkatkan
effective irrigation systems,
cadangan air.
which we've got plenty of experts.
Tekstur.
But I guess the key factor that we want to talk about is soil. And in very basic terms,
Jadi
the
tekstur.
texture of soil, I took some soil from here yesterday
Berpasir,
and it had a high
berpasir.
clay
Beda-beda.
content.
Dan nanti kan
And there's various techniques you can
tanahnya
use to
iya.
work out what the soil is like. And I've got a table
Simple.
in a minute which will show us how to do
Plain
that.
lihat. Porositasnya
The depth of topsoils.
susah.
I'm assuming this soil here is quite deep before we reach a second layer,
Second
which
line.
is clay.
And here is clay is this is I think still clay because it is a 54.
Yep.
Yes, I know. The clay is 54. More deeper is more clay.
just heavier clay.
It's more heavier clay.
Traffic light.
You can find it's 50 centimeter here. It's already very heavy clay.
Yeah, yeah,
Together.
yeah. We are farming in some parts of Australia where the topsoil is this deep, and then you hit clay or hit rock even. It's very shallow soils.
Grass.
Salinity, obviously, salinity is a tough environment to grow in, and I guess water holding capacity. Vikram touched on
Water holding
water holding
capacity.
capacity.
Kemampuan
Soils with
menyimpan
good structure
air. Kalau enggak lah.
and a good composition of clay, organic matter. Have a much better water holding capacity.
Menahan. Bukan menangkalan.
Do you have underground water here?
Yes. We do and that.
Deep well.
We use
Deep well.
deep well.
Deep well. Do you know how deep the water is?
60.
60 metres. And it's good quality?
Yeah, it's quite good quality.
Yeah,
If it is.
yeah. You could drink it?
I'm not sure about the about the bacteria, but the color is okay.
Okay.
The taste is still okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, for in this area, particular area.
Yeah.
It's in the other area, the mostly in Indonesia is calcium.
right.
Yeah.
So it's quite hard.
It's quite hard, basically like that.
Yeah, yeah. Are you using groundwater?
Rainwater. Typically rainwater.
Rainwater.
Yeah, not so much of ground.
Yeah.
Government in Singapore don't allow you to.
Correct. the most
Import
Stealing.
water from
Yeah.
Indonesia.
They're stealing from the government. You're right. Even for rainwater, we are only allowed within the development.
Right.
Yeah, you cannot be holding up a tin outside your estate.
Yeah.
It's stealing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But don't have any restricted like in Australia have a limited also, right?
Oh, absolutely.
In Singapore
Absolutely.
don't have it, right?
We do have.
Oh, we have it.
Yeah.
Indonesia we throw the water.
Everything they can use, you can
Yeah.
use.
And our in Australia, our water market is very unstable. We've just had a large drought of a major river that comes into Adelaide. Water, I think water is about $100 per megalitre at the moment. That's 1 million litres. 3 years ago, it was $1,000. $1,000 per megalitre,
Per megaliter. Okay.
which is a lot of money. What are you paying for water in the Philippines?
In
Yeah,
Philippines.
we're paying water, but the problem we have in Jensan is a volcanic soil.
Volcanic.
Volcanic. Oh.
Because we are near in the volcano, so when I think it erupted 40 years ago,
Yeah.
so our garden, like when you plant, it's all volcanic
Ash.
soil, ash.
Right.
So it's very hard.
So is there nutrient in there?
Very little.
Very little. Yeah. So what do? You add.
Yeah,
You've got
we
to
put-
bring everything in.
We buy the organic fertilizer.
Organic matter
Something
is-
like, I don't know. I bought it from the garden shop.
Yeah.
So we have to mix it.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then I plant my tomato. I plant my eggplant. Then it's okay.
Right.
But just to plant there in the volcanic soil,
Nothing.
just in 2 days die.
Really?
Because very very hot.
But it's easy to
Yeah.
dig.
Yeah, very easy.
Yeah.
And every time you put a crop in, you put in nutrients and the
Yeah.
compost. And
Compost.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's my best gardener as well. So
So the water just flows straight through.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like sand.
Yeah, when the rainfall, heavy rainfall, just in few minutes gone, no water.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That is expensive in Indonesia. Pasir Malang. Volcanic.
Yeah.
Volcanic sand.
Kediri.
Ya, Kediri.
Kediri. Lampung ada juga Pak kalau mau.
So you buy it
No.
from there.
We buy it in Indonesia for gardening. Also because
Volcanic
we a lot
soil.
of clay.
Yeah,
So
because
side with you.
that is good volcanic. As
Correct.
when the volcano erupted, the wind carried the ash down around about 30 kilometres
Right.
and dumped it.
Wow. Yeah.
So a lot of Libby here. The problem is Fusarium.
Yeah.
In Indonesia, problem for clay soil is mostly fusarium and stay there.
Yep.
Mostly there. So if you see our banana is not quite good.
Right.
Basically like that. It's same like in Philippines. It's problem with the
Del Monte,
with the
Philippines.
fusarium in
Del Monte.
Kadeco.
Oh, Tadiko, the banana.
Banana.
That is the best target. So do you think after like when the clients purchase the Syntec, first thing we have to do is to analyze the soil?
Yes.
So we are not agriculturists, so we can.
But I have enough knowledge to be able to analyse this.
At a very basic level,
Yes, you don't have to be an expert.
this is not this is not high level agronomy, but at a very basic level, you should have a good understanding of what soil you're dealing with. And most farmers or most landscapers, they'll know roughly.
Or there'll be somewhere on their property that they've dug a hole or something
Yes.
that you can get down with them and discuss the layers.
That's right.
That's
I
all.
will show you what the test what we do. That is in the
Oh, good,
university
good.
here. We have
Some
Excellent.
basic.
some
I think we
testing
can
what
have
the
that
soil is there. I will show you.
So testing water,
Because we don't know.
Yeah, I will test you.
soil
But, you know, it's all basic.
for nutrients.
Soil,
For
pH.
nutrients we have a lab in Tersel.
Small lab
Yeah.
in the
We have
container.
small lab, but
Yeah.
that is for nutrition. It's not for texture. But
Okay.
for nutrition.
Okay. Oh, good.
But we have for our own area. We have a texture. For irrigation, guy must be have this one
Yes.
because we must to know the percentage what we want to achieve
Yeah.
and field capacity.
Yes.
Dry verse we must do.
Yep. Yep. And of course, too much organic matter. There's problems with adding too much organic matter with pH, and yeah, it's a big topic.
How we know it's lots of arsenic, how we know how much potassium.
Jadi ini yang kemarin kita tuh
Wow, there's
evaluasi
one
saturation
Animation.
Oh, it's animation. Sorry.
kampanye itu
So I guess to get down to water,
air
there's
mana ya Pak? Ya,
three
gitu aja.
three phases. We've got saturation.
Ada vigor,
We've got field capacity, and we've got permanent wilting point.
Selama ini kan kita hanya ngukur
And there's your field
evaluasinya.
capacity there. That is a beautiful picture.
Correct.
A beautiful picture.
Yeah.
I think I've actually got a...
How we know that there's a calcium, has a
Okay, so if you think back to our pie earlier on, we had soil. Are we working? Yeah. We had soil. We've got air, and so on. Clearly, this is not a good picture.
Di dalam itu butuh air, butuh ini tadi H2.
The plants won't survive without air. This is not a high level concept. But waterlogging is considered a stress. Field capacity. So basically, field capacity is a good, even distribution of that soil structure, but it's basically the water content which soil internal drainage after rainfall becomes negligible. So it's basically how much water is held in the soil under natural gravity before it drains away.
Ya.
So at the end of the day, we're wanting to keep our soil in this state in a constant phase, unless we use some other techniques which we will talk about a bit later.
Nutrisi itu kan.
But this is optimum.
Cara.
And of course, this is permanent wilting, so we don't have enough water in the soil profile.
Bisa nggak itu tetap track?
The water that is in the profile is so tightly held through chemistry that the plants just can't extract that water
Bisa lebih
from the soil.
totalnya berapa, total berapa ini.
Ini ketanamannya kayak airnya.
So I guess water, soil texture is very important, because what field capacity and permanent wilting point is in one soil can be quite different to a different soil. So as you can see here, we've got a couple of red circles here, 23 and 24 millimetres of water, but in a nice sandy loam, we would consider that to be field capacity, which is where we want to be. In a clay soil, that same amount of water is actually moving us into the permanent wilting point. So it's so critical to understand what you're dealing with.
And we are not agriculturists. I'm a sales. So,
Bikram will educate
I am not agriculturist, I'm sales.
Yeah. I'm both, so I have to help you.
But you know, once you have an understanding of this, it's
Simple.
it's
Simple.
not that difficult. You know, it's information and following the guideline. Are you familiar with this?
Of course, sir. I'm teaching that one also.
Oh, you've stolen our slide, have you?
Please listen.
4 SKS itu Pak Petrus. 4 SKS.
Yeah.
Dasar-dasar ilmu tanah ini.
So, well, I can't see that. So, I guess following on from Bikram, we just want to, I guess, give a bit of an agronomic perspective to today, and just talk about some of the key concepts that we think about when we're sort of thinking about water and irrigation and water efficiency. As I was saying to Terence, we were just talking a minute ago, I know that not everyone's from an agricultural background, but at the end of the day, we're all dealing with soil, we're all dealing with root systems, we're all dealing with the environment, and you know, the underpinning concepts are exactly the same. And as Terence said, plants are life? No.
Life plants is equally important to life crop.
Over life crop. There you go. So I guess the
Landscape.
We now import wine. We are selling wine from France, from Spain.
And see what the composition of the soil is,
Yeah.
and then work it out. From
Yeah. Yeah.
But we cannot bury the fruit, right?
No,
Because
no,
it's a
what
water
I'm saying is that we keep some soil bits first, and then
Same soil,
dig
no.
down
sample.
a metre, and I can see whether it's a sandy soil or clay soil or whatever, and then we work out.
Yeah. Nigel, anything to add to that? Anything?
Oh, I think it highlights the importance of understanding what soils you're working with. You know, to put the probe in and forget about it and walk away. It's, you know, you really need to get a good understanding of your environment. And there's techniques to do that, to work out, you know, like Bikram said, whether you've got a clay soil, a clay loam soil, a sandy soil. There's formulas
So
and
maybe in the flooding irrigation, somehow it will not work much? Or
Yeah, well, what it would mean is that if you have an area of 5 hectares and there's quite a bit of variability, they may have to put in some dikes or whatever you call them, so that this one gets watered twice, where this one only needs watered once. And because even in 5 hectare areas in the Philippines, they're usually in 1 to 2 hectare, and they water them separately, together but separate.
yep.
Sorry, Nigel. I'm not really understand when that is for paddy field, you mean, man? Paddy field, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to see in this sensor? Do you want to see the? Of course, it's not moisturized because that is almost will be always 100% because that is flooding, as I know.
Yeah.
Because
They're also
That's why-
what they're encouraging also in the Philippines is this cycle irrigation. In other words, not having it fully flooded all the time, watering and
Yes.
whatever, because we have one particular problem, and that is there's not enough water stored. So at the moment, everybody's just flooding, and we're limiting the amount of rice we can grow because we're using water that may not be being used efficiently.
Yes.
And my thinking is that if we can manage this better, even though we have limited resources, we can get more bang for our buck.
yeah. So for watts of water, you want to put many more place, you know, right?
Yes, yeah. So
Okay.
this, let's say this hectare or 2 hectares here only requires, because it has got good storage and doesn't go through the profile quickly, we only have to water that maybe, let's say, once every week. The one over here, there's a gutless soil that, you know, and it just goes through. We may have to put on top. Why put on excess water here when it's not necessary?
Correct. Yeah.
So you see, more management than.
Okay, understand.
Yep.
So give me an idea for the dry land. For more dry paddy field. If in Java we have always have a water.
It's different.
I'm sorry about that. So I'm not really understand.
Not having water.
In Philippines also, as I know, have some money, but many area like in Nusa Tenggara will be less water. We only can plant it once a year, ya Mas ya?
Yes.
Yeah, once a year. So that is maybe that is an idea for us for do it. So that's why I asking what for paddy field. But that is a good idea for in the manage the water source, you know, right?
Yes, yeah. In other words,
Yeah.
getting more bags of rice with this
Correct.
this amount of water,
Correct.
because
Sumber air
even though
atas.
the Philippines gets lots of water, it doesn't necessarily get it
Pakai alat ini bisa
when we need it.
Yes.
And with the climate change and whatever, they're now starting to find the resources they have.
Yes.
We work very closely with the National Irrigation
Gimana
Authority,
ngontrol ini?
and they're constantly building
Karena
dams.
airnya harus tahu
They're working
kalau
on
ngontrol.
new dams and whatever that might water for more sustainable.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception that there's just an endless amount of water in Southeast Asia.
Yes.
But, you know,
It's boom and bust.
yeah, it's not the case.
But do you think if in the abundance of the water, I think we don't really need this one?
Yeah, see, that's
In the
that,
abundance of the water, like in some area in the Philippines, they have abundance, like they have the source of rivers. So do you think we don't have to market this one in that area, or just?
well,
Jadi sungai.
it's like what Nigel said. Sure there's a lot of water, but eventually you will run out of it. So another thing is people while we measure water, to use that water takes energy. We need to have resources, time. So all those extra costs come in. So if there's no need to use additional water, why use it? Because you will end up saving your finance resources, not only your water, but also your labor or your energy to get that irrigation done. Because you would probably need more irrigation systems to do more irrigation. So if you don't need that much, then you can reduce it. So it's like an add-on effect. So yes, sure, maybe it might be difficult to market towards growers who have abundance of water, because they'll be like, why would I need to reduce it?
Yeah.
Everything's fine. But that could change. India faces that issue. In the southern parts of India, once drought hit, all the reservoirs were out. People couldn't grow food anymore. But prior to that, water. I mean, they don't know themselves because they're not educated in that way. So, yeah, you don't want to get into that situation where.
As I know, Nigel, I don't know. As I know, Netafim make it this in Italy for when you less water, you less arsenic in your rice.